So good morning, everybody. Welcome to this Elevate Technology event. My name is Zoe Wallace from Winning Moves, and we're delighted to be delivering the Elevate Technology programme on behalf of Worcestershire County Council. The support is part funded by the European Union Regional Development Fund, and we'll be telling you a little bit later in the session about what's on offer and how you can access it. Today's presentation is intended to be short and sweet, and we're going to focus on the importance of digital and technology to help your business grow and develop. So as business owners, I think it's fair to say that we've all always known that technology is important and that it does matter. But the last 24 months have really highlighted how important it is for our ongoing success and ability to continue to deliver. And it's proven that where businesses do adopt the right technologies for them, they're 30% more efficient and 20% more profitable. Elevate Technology is about helping businesses across Worcestershire be more productive, more efficient, more profitable. Winning Moves has been helping businesses grow since 1995. We've got an enviable track record in this field. We're digital specialists, but we're also business practitioners. So our role in delivering the programme is about helping you to demystify digital and cut through the myriad of options when it comes to digital and technology, so we can identify the right things for you and devise a technology roadmap that's right for you as a business. I'm shortly going to be handing over to Colin Bell, who's going to talk us through the importance of using digital technology to adapt to change. After Colin's completed his presentation, we'll then hear more from Jackie Morley-Brooker and Ellie Brown about the support that's available. And then lastly, we'll be telling you about next steps and how you can access that. So without further ado, I'll hand over to Colin.
Cheers, thank you very much, Zoe, and welcome everyone. Great to see you on this kind of, I was going to say bright and breezy Tuesday morning, but it's not so bright out there. Well, it certainly isn't where I'm sitting today, but fantastic to be here and see you all today. As Zoe said, my name's Colin Bell. I'm a specialist in business and organisational and economic transformation. Work with organisations of all sizes, public, private sector, involved in new business startups. Got my own business called Leap the Crowd. Got a real history of winning moves as well, and was part of a MBO team who ultimately bought Winning Moves, scaled Winning Moves, and then ultimately sold Winning Moves, but continue to work with them in the capacity of a consultant. A couple other things before we kind of jump into it. About to publish a book in July on entrepreneurship, and also kind of sat on government task forces like the Scale Up Task Force, etc. So a little bit about me before we kind of get into the detail. So the brief I've had today is essentially to take 20 minutes, but it might be a stretch. I can talk for England, but 20 minutes really just to start to think about some of the ways businesses can use digital technology to really kind of boost performance and productivity. But one of the things I'm really conscious of is that businesses at the moment are at a point in time where there's real kind of pressures, and I interact with businesses every day, and there's a couple of issues that really top of mind are kind of causing sleepless nights and real issues in the way they operate. So what I want to do is really focus on those, particularly two problems or pressures that I think businesses are facing at the moment, and to think about how digital technology can help us deal with those problems and ultimately present solutions. So it's really focusing on those frustrations. So the first one, and this is something that every single business that I interact with says that it's kind of their top issue at the moment, and it's all around talent, attracting talent, attracting skills, or just getting, just finding employees to work within the business. So we're kind of in what's been termed the realms of a war for talent, other terms that are used to describe the situation at the moment. It's a great resignation, but the fact is that we've got labour shortages that are meaning that labour's a scarce commodity, and it's also becoming a more expensive commodity, which is another issue in itself. Obviously, this is an issue that it was always an issue pre-pandemic, but post-pandemic and post-Brexit, it's certainly been exacerbated and became more of an issue. I think there's 5 things that are going on that are contributing to this situation. Number one is young people, for obvious reasons, are choosing to stay in education longer. So that's having an effect on the labour market. Equally, at the other end of the scale, older people are choosing to retire earlier. So that's taking more people out the labour market. Brexit means that we've got less access to the migrant workforce that we did before Brexit. And I think the other thing that's happened, foreign workers have gone back to their home countries, because of the pandemic, and chosen not to come back as well. So we're seeing a reduction in the migrant labour force. Self-isolation continues to be an issue for businesses, which really has an effect on business owners, because you try and make the space, you come to events like this and the idea is to spend time working on the business rather than in the business. But, lo and behold, John or Jackie ring up, midway through the morning to say that they've got COVID and they're self-isolating. So we're always getting kind of dragged back into the business and having to deal with the kind of day-to-day operations of that. And then the final thing, and we'll spend a bit more time on this, is that obviously, through the pandemic, there's been the shift to more digital ways of working. But what we're finding is that many businesses lack digital skills. They lack digital skills in their workforce, which again is having an impact on the labour force and people's ability to perform certain roles and to be productive in those roles. So that's the first issue that I just want to spend a bit of time exploring, the war for talent. The second one's cost. We're seeing costs almost in every element of a business going through the roof. I think the causes are actually similar to a lot of the issues that are causing the skill shortages that we're seeing. There've been costs and supply chain disruption has really seen a rise in inflationary pressures and the cost of goods and supplies into our businesses. The shortage of labour is meaning that we're having to pay more for our people. We're having to pay a premium to attract them to our businesses. We've then got rising energy costs. We've got forecasts of inflation hitting 7% later this year. And I think that's all against a backdrop where a lot of businesses, they're more highly geared than they were pre-pandemic, because obviously borrowing's gone up, be it through government borrowing or whatever that may be. Borrowing's gone up, which basically means that companies are finding it harder to raise the growth and working capital needed to operate their business and grow their business. And there's other things coming over the horizon, like tax increases, NI increases, the minimum wage is going up at the moment. So I think all this kind of combines to a situation where it's actually a very difficult environment for many businesses at the moment, contending with these pressures, which ultimately make it difficult to make money, and that's obviously got to be a fundamental aspect of running a business. So I'm sorry, that's all a bit depressing, isn't it? But, but we're entrepreneurs. So what we're talking about here are problems, and entrepreneurs love problems because problems need solutions. And that's what we're all about, aren't we? So let's get onto the positive stuff, and let's think about what we can do about this. How can we help address these problems? So I'm going to start with the whole issue of inflationary pressure and cost pressure in our businesses. And the thing I just want to focus on is something called the cash conversion cycle, which I'm pretty sure all of you are familiar with. But for those who aren't, just explain it really simply is that it's basically the time it takes between you getting paid by a customer and you paying your suppliers. So if we can make that shorter, that really benefits the company because it's improving our cash flow position. And as we all know, cash is king. Obviously, if we can improve our cash conversion cycle as well, it makes us more scalable because we've got more cash in the bank that can be used to grow and develop the business moving forward. And I think one of the things that is a great way of shortening or improving the cash conversion cycle is really focusing on, can we use our customers or our partners to actually help improve our cash flow? Can our customers, ultimately be used to inject the growth and working capital into our businesses that we need to operate and grow and develop? That could be around things like renegotiating contracts. So actually, could we improve our debtor days? We're currently getting paid on 30, 60 days, could reduce that down to 10. Are there deals that can be done with our customers to try and improve that situation? Lots of issues around supply chains at the moment, where companies are paying for supply, but then there's big delays on that supply. So maybe just having deals where you're paying on receipt, or at least when those goods kind of hit the UK, rather than paying for them up front, maybe things that we should be looking at. So some basic things around renegotiation, I think, can be done. But I think when we think about Elevate, the real opportunity is actually, and this is for the longer term, and about the scalability of our businesses ultimately, is about re-looking at our business models. Is there an opportunity to apply some business model innovation, or to reinvent our business models and operate in a different way, not just now to get over this initial period, but over the longer term? So using an example here, which is essentially Amazon. Apologies to use Amazon. I think they're kind of overused as an example, but they're a great example of how to really improve the cash conversion cycle. So, but believe it or not, Amazon actually, the first thing they do is they get their money from the customers. So the customer pay them for the good or the product that they're buying through the Amazon platform. It's then 33 days between the Amazon actually receiving that cash from the customer to when they actually pay the supplier. Now, great for Amazon, maybe not so good for the supplier, but it's that type of model. Can you create a situation where you've got a negative cash conversion cycle? So what they're basically saying that they're minus 33, because the time between them getting paid by the customer to actually paying the supplier is 33 days. So, that's kind of the situation that we're trying to do. And digital technology, digitally driven business models are great at actually delivering that situation. Software as a service models, where you've got customers paying a set amount of money every month. Not only is that creating a negative cash conversion cycle, which is what we want. Almost sounds a bit counterintuitive, that, but it's a negative cash conversion cycle that we're wanting. Great at doing that. It's also great at developing business models that provide repeat and forecastable income moving forward. So, I could talk about this all day, but this is ultimately what Elevate's about, helping us address, other ways of innovating, adapting, changing our business model to make them more scalable, and to make them more efficient in the way we operate. And ultimately, if you think about Amazon, that's 33 days where the cash is sat in their bank. They're probably getting interest in that. They're using it to kind of grow their business. So ultimately, can we create a situation where we're using our customers to provide the growth capital that we need to invest in our businesses, rather than the other way around? Because if it's the other way around, you're borrowing money. So it's the difference between almost borrowing and getting your customers to invest in the business, and how that can be moved forward. So that's the first thing I just want to highlight. The second thing, and I think this again is where Elevate can really support businesses moving forward, around automation. One of the things that we're seeing throughout the pandemic is a huge amount of digital adoption. I think that there's been 4 years of digital adoption squeezed into about 6 months at the kind of peak of the pandemic, for obvious reasons. But this word automation, it almost sounds, a bit scary. It's about robots and all these sort of things. The fact is, it isn't. It's actually relatively simple. Just before this, we kind of, invited people into a session. We're just talking about a bit of technology that Winning Moves are using so people can book appointments with consultants. And actually, it's a great example of automation. It's automated technology where, you know, someone will book an appointment and it automatically goes into a diary. Previously, it would have been someone performing that task, you know. So it's about how can we automate repetitive and simple tasks ultimately within in our businesses. Now, chances are the majority of you are using platforms like Microsoft 365. Now, you've already got the technology sat within that 365 package to automate a whole multitude of different processes within your business. You know, things like holiday requests, timesheets, expenses, invoicing, you know, all that functionality to automate those processes is already within those packages, and other packages. You'll find it in your accounting software, opportunities to use apps, inbuilt apps to drive up automation, relatively simple automation in CRM systems, etc. You know, there's lots that can be done to automate processes across the customer journey, right from payment through to kind of processing and delivering the product or service. Believe it or not, even within 365, there's and it's the Microsoft Power Automate package that sits within 365 used to be called Microsoft Flow. You can even use AI driven document manipulation and scanning, so and processing of documents, which may be when invoices are coming in, the AI is actually scanning those documents, extracting the relevant information and processing them through your systems. The other great thing about that is that you don't need a programmer to automate a lot of these processes. What you probably need to do is upskill some of your staff and put them in a training course so they know how to use packages like the Microsoft Power Automate. But it's not rocket science, it really isn't, but there's a hell of a lot that can be done to automate and really adapt your businesses so that they can operate in a more hybrid form as well, which really takes us on to the next thing I want to talk about, which is all around attracting talent. So problem number 2. So one of the things I didn't say earlier is that the talent gap is huge. To actually fill the talent gap, we need 1.1 million additional workers within the UK. There's 1.1 million vacancies at the moment, which is a real peak, you know, beyond anything that we've seen in the past. So there's a real issue out there. The other thing that I think's, you know, really different to pre-pandemic is that hybrid working is the new norm. It's what's demanded. It's what companies are preparing for. It's what employees want to see. But I think the word hybrid's really important. That's not home working. It's a combination of home working and office working. Equally, people want the flexibility. They want to work at home, but equally, there's a real demand to see people, to collaborate, to get creative, to kind of have fun together, and to meet their colleagues and partners. So, yeah, so businesses are having to redesign their office space, redesign the way they work to deal with this new norm. But the important thing about that is that that's demanded by employees, current and future. So if you're going to attract talent and attract people to your business, these are the type of environments that are now in demand, that are now the new norm. And, you know, and ultimately businesses are going, if they're not going to be left behind, they're going to have to provide effectively to those future employees. So one of the big barriers, however, to hybrid working is what we call the digital skills gap. So there's a massive digital skills issue within the UK at the moment, and, you know, some of these stats really back that up. So there's 17 million employees who lack essential digital skills. Now, essential digital skills, they're relatively basic. It'll be people having the ability to go online and use some of those automations that we just talked about. So book their leave online, submit timesheets, file expenses, all those sort of things that can kind of be automated in that new hybrid world. Other things like operating basic cybersecurity protocols, like changing passwords and all those sort of things, and also using things like cloud storage. It's good, relatively basic tasks that they don't have the skill to do. So if your employees don't have those basic skills, then they're going to find it very difficult and probably very, very stressful to operate in a hybrid working environment. The other thing is that it makes you really inefficient, and less productive. So if people can't engage with those new automations and the new technology platforms that you've put in place, ultimately you'll be less productive, and ultimately also you'll get left behind. And I think that really, and this really culminates in the stat that only 23% of employees surveyed have received any digital skills training. So I think it's paramount, if people don't have those essential digital skills to operate in a hybrid working environment, then it's paramount that businesses give them. We need to invest in our people and in their basic digital skills, as well as higher level skills, but that's at a very, very basic level. So I think that's one thing I just wanted to highlight. But then thinking about, how do we ultimately attract people to our businesses? So people having to work really, really hard at this, particularly in certain sectors. I know, in the world of IT and software at the moment, finding programmers is a real challenge, and the kind of premium put on the kind of basic compensation packages is kind of flying through the roof. But that's not the only important things that the employees are looking for. So what I would like to suggest is that we've all got value propositions that we develop for our customers. We put a lot of time and effort into figuring out why a customer should buy from us rather than our competitors, and communicating that to our customers. We need to do the same thing to attract future employees, but also to retain current employees within our businesses. People have never been as mobile as they are at the moment, quite largely due to hybrid working. They've now got a whole multitude of opportunities available to them that weren't in the past. They can almost, they're more mobile. They can work over a larger geography, so there's a wider pool open to them. But equally, there's a wider pool open to you. There's more employees out there that you can attract over that wider geography. So it could be, here's a kind of model, an employee value proposition model. And I say this is just trying to think through what reasons we can give people to come and work for us rather than others. So starting at the top of the pyramid, the kind of unique and emotional. A lot of this is around purpose. It's what do you stand for as a company? We're seeing a real kind of shift, particularly in younger workers who want to work for companies who have a really strong environmental consciousness. They're doing things proactively to strive towards achieving net zero, and probably wider things as well. They're purpose-led organisations who are trying to do good in the world. So I think, particularly with the theme of digital, other things that you're doing as a company that would help demonstrate that purpose to companies, and how you're using digital technology to deliver that as well, which of course, particularly in the net zero environmental sense, there's lots of opportunities there, because it's reducing cost, it's reducing the amount we're spending in our cars and all those sort of things. So what's unique about you? How can you stand out from the crowd and really demonstrate that purpose and what you're all about to future employees? We've got to work harder at all these things to attract the right people. You then got differentiated. So this is more about, how are we working, how we're going to help you progress your career, move to that next level, well-being, we're seeing a lot more emphasis on that, how we're going to support people's physical and mental health and well-being, all those sort of things. These are all things that people are interested in over and above the kind of basic pay and benefits that we're going to offer. So thinking about the hybrid environment, what does that mean? It may mean that actually, we're going to make sure we're going to look after you. We're going to make sure that you've got office supplies. We're going to make sure that you've got access to printing when appropriate. We're going to make sure that you've got a good broadband connection. And ultimately, we're going to give you the skills. We're going to invest in you so you can operate at your best in that hybrid world, that you can interact with the applications that we've got, that you can be productive and contribute the maximum value back to the business. So, and it could even be as radical as we've automated our business model, we've become really efficient. So maybe we're that productive that we only need you in for 4 days, but we'll pay you for 5, just thinking quite radically. But these are things that we're seeing companies do. They're offering 4-day weeks, these are kind of trends that are around the corner and all things that ultimately we've got to compete with. So, so I think that's a tool, and again through Elevate, something that the team can support people with thinking about. Another just a couple of final thoughts. I'm conscious that I'm already over my 20 minutes. So the final thing is, this whole issue of digital skills. There's a great saying, culture eats strategy for breakfast. I think attitudes in that same boat. You'll have people who are working for you at the moment who have the right attitude. And I believe that we should hire an attitude, and we can always develop the skills in people. So identify those people with the right attitude and who demonstrate the right behaviours that you want to see in your business. Give them the skills, upgrade them as people, upgrade their skill base, and then backfill. Identify, more people with the right attitude and behaviours, and then backfill. Sometimes, particularly at the moment, it's easier to try and focus on upgrading your staff and actually recruit from the bottom up, probably a lower skill base. So that, again, that's where we're, particularly I'm working with clients who are having some real success in that, but they've got to, work, put serious effort into that upgrading of their staff. It's something that requires almost a strategy and a focus in its own right, and someone who's got responsibility and accountability over doing that. But we're seeing some real successes in that area. And the final thing from me is just to emphasize this model. I won't talk through it in any depth, but this is ultimately the model that underpins the Elevate program and how we work with companies to adopt digital technology. And what it does, it focuses on 5 key value areas within a company, and helps us to work with you to identify how we can innovate your business model, how we can make you more productive, how we can improve cash conversion cycles, and all those different sort of things. Attract, retain, grow customers, and deliver more productively, improve the value proposition, and all those sort of things. It's a really powerful tool, and that generates really powerful results, probably at the lowest cost as well, which is something else I would just like to emphasize. So that's it from me. I think we'll build up to questions, and I will now hand you over to Ellie and Jackie from the Elevate program. Thank you.
Brilliant. Thanks, Colin. Thanks very much. As I've said before, and I will probably say again many times in the future, I'm the PM for Elevate Technology, but I'm not a tech specialist myself. So that was really interesting. Thank you. I think I've spoken to most of you on the call before, but thought it worthwhile to introduce myself and the support that's available through the Elevate Technology programme. So I'm Ellie Brown, I'm the project manager from Worcestershire County Council, and I lead on Elevate Technology. Elevate Tech is a fairly new programme. It launched in October of last year, sort of based on feedback from the local business community and a gap in the support in Worcestershire in the digital tech space. What we offer is support for eligible businesses to look at their digital tools and their technologies. So Winning Moves obviously deliver the support on behalf of us. So it's excellent to have such brilliant business growth and digital tech specialists on board with us. The support is available to eligible businesses, so that's for SMEs that are based in Worcestershire, trading at least 70% business to business, and are on that sort of growth trajectory. So that could be looking at an increase in employees or turnover, for example. What we offer is fully funded bespoke consultancy to help you explore that business growth and your digital projects. So whether it's improving business operations or, as Colin said, automating processes. I think it's important to say that it's to help businesses implement new as well as maximise existing technology. So it's not just for businesses that are kind of at the beginning of their tech project. You might already have an idea of something that you want to implement or explore. You might already have technologies in place that you want to maximise. So Winning Moves can work with you to explore sort of from both ends of the scale. Examples of the types of projects that the support could help with include CRM systems, inventory management systems, it could be digital marketing strategy or marketing automation. So there's a wide variety available there, and Winning Moves have a variety of specialists in sort of different areas. So we can work with you to identify whether your project is a good fit, whether we've got the expertise to support that. And the support is available on an application basis. So I think it's important to mention that. So we do have limited places available. The application process is very straightforward. It's a very short process. It's simply a case of filling out an application form, which is then appraised. If successful, we can then onboard you and match you with an advisor very quickly. And the sort of the beauty of the support is that we can work with you. So if you want to move very quickly through the support and have those hours of consultancy quickly, if you need to get your project off the ground, we can try and work to that sort of capacity. Upon the completion of the support, there is also the opportunity to apply for grant funding. So that's a conversation that would be had with myself. There's a couple of different sort of grant options available, and I think that's best discussed or dependent on project. So one thing to sort of make clear with all ERDF grant funds is that they're match funded. In our instance, it's on a 40% basis. So there would be an investment required from yourselves as the businesses. But as I said, happy to chat that through on a sort of a case-by-case basis. But the idea of the support, of the grant, is that it is available after the support has been completed, and it's to help implement any developments or improvements that have been identified throughout that consultancy. I think that's probably it from me, but I'd also like to introduce Jackie, who is also an Elevate project manager from Worcestershire County Council.
Thanks, Ellie. Good morning, everyone. And excuse me, my thanks again to Colin for his very insightful presentation. So thank you both. So in essence, the project that I manage, which is the Elevate, and it's rather long, we shorten it to DTAM because it's a mouthful. So it's the digital technology and automated manufacturing side of Elevate. So in essence, very similar to Ellie's project. Again, Winning Moves deliver this project as well. And it's simply with the manufacturing focus. So it's the adoption of digital technologies and automation in those manufacturing processes. So as any referrals come through, we will make sure that you get onto the right project depending on your main focuses and priorities. So in essence, very, pretty much identical to Ellie's program. Again, it's fully funded by ERDF for the consultancy for those eligible SMEs, and very much that sort of focus on manufacturing. Again, an application basis as well, which goes through appraisal. Again, a certain number of assists that we have for our project as well. And again, on completion of this consultancy hours, there's grant funding available. And very much like Ellie says as well, there's a range of different grant funding options depending on your circumstances and the type of project you've got planned. So in essence, contact us either Ellie or myself, and we'll make sure that you're referred through to the right process and get you started. So I won't sort of go into to repeat the detail. In essence, it's very much the same, but just with the manufacturing focus. So, but no, really fascinating talk this morning, and I think that's puts it across really well as just how much Worcestershire County Council are really invested into this area to support businesses to focus on this area for the economy generally, but our businesses within the county.
Excellent. Thank you both. Thank you, Ellie. Thank you, Jackie, for that overview. I'd like to open the floor now for if anyone's got any questions. You can either pop your question into the chat, or if you want to raise your hand or unmute yourself and ask a question directly, then you're very welcome to do so. I think just to echo what's been said, to say thank you to Colin for a really, really interesting presentation. There's some good examples there and some really good food for thought, I think, in terms of potential digital projects and ways to help develop your business using digital and technology, which can be something of a minefield because it's a topic that's as broad as it is long, but we're here to cut through that for you. Just looking to see if we've had any questions through as yet. Okay, so we've got a question from Sally to how do you apply and do you email an application form, which brings me nicely onto the slide about next steps. So thank you for that, Sally. It was not planned at all. So there's two ways that we recommend as a what's next. You can either book a one-to-one with us, which is through the link that you can see on your screen at the moment, which is elevatecalendar.winningmoves.com. All of us on this call today have made our diaries available for at least today, but also the rest of the week. So there are 20-minute slots that you can book in directly, which is one of the examples of automation that's being given today. So we will be ready and waiting after this call. We'll have a quick break, and then if you book something in, if for any reason you cannot make a one-to-one over the next couple of days, then you can complete the online expression of interest as an alternative, which is elevate.winningmoves.com. Now, what will happen as a result of completing that is we'll then get in touch with you to book a further call in, but we would recommend, because the places are limited, that you choose the one-to-one option today. We've got a couple more. So Ellie, a question for yourself.
Yep.
From Alison. Can you see that in the chat? I have a key safe manufacturer looking to launch a new product via digital media, including a website upgrade. Would this qualify?
Quite possibly. It would be good to know more information around what that website upgrade is and what kind of technology they're looking at. In terms of the grant, obviously that's a very large project. So again, that's something I think it'd be best to have a sort of a conversation with that business on a sort of case-by-case basis, to look at what the options are. It might be that a couple of grant funds would need to be considered for that. But yeah, absolutely worth having a conversation, Alison.
Excellent, thank you. Also a question from Chris about completing another Elevate scheme. Would we still be able to apply for Elevate Tech?
Yes, so on that, we're aware that there are a number of Elevate growth programs that we run across the council. If you have been through another Elevate scheme, such as Elevate Growth or Elevate Supply Chain, you are still able to apply for Elevate Technology. Elevate Technology is a completely separate project.
And then Ellie, you're still up, I'm afraid. Adnan, a question about looking to hire new staff in IT development of business in Computer House Limited, Worcester. I think that might be a query as to whether or not perhaps Elevate can support with the strategy and the growth around that. Is that right, Adnan?
I mean, to echo sort of Zoe, absolutely. If it's looking at the kind of strategy around that, that's something that that can be looked at. Obviously, working within the council as well, we're in touch with a number of different teams and departments. There are a multitude of other programs that run. So if it's something that isn't quite right through Elevate Technology, if it's a question in addition to Elevate Technology, we can find the right person or a different project or perhaps different team that would be able to provide that advice. But again, happy to have a conversation on that.
Excellent, thank you. Are there any other questions from anyone at the moment? Okay, so I'll take this opportunity then. If everyone can take a note of those links, by the way, so I do recommend that you do book the one-to-one, so elevatecalendar.winningmoves.com. Just before we finish, we would appreciate some feedback. So I'm just going to launch a very short poll that's got 2 questions in it. If you can just take the time just to complete that for me, that would be excellent. Just while everybody's completing that, equally, if anybody would like to leave any testimonial in the chat that we can use for marketing purposes, that would be very welcome. Or indeed, if anybody's happy for us to contact them subsequently to give us a testimonial, if you could put a note in the chat for us, that would be excellent. Just a couple more to complete. Okay, that's lovely. Thank you all ever so much for your time. It's been an absolute pleasure, and we look forward to seeing you in the one-to-ones. Thank you all very much.
Thank you.